In this Golf Smart Insight, we're going to look at gripping the club based on how your arms hang. So I can remember growing up and reading in lots of different articles in Golf Magazine, Golf Digest, that to figure out what grip you should have, you should stand and look in the mirror and see how much of your hand or the back of your hand you can see, and then try to recreate that same amount on the club. Well, it seems a little bit more like witchcraft than like actual golf science. So for a place like Golf Smart Academy, we're not going to buy into that. Here's how this arm hang thing actually works within your body and why I don't think it's a great indicator for how you're going to grip the club. If the more that you work on standing up straight or the more that your shoulders open up, you'll tend to have more of this anatomical neutral position, which would basically be my arm is hanging vertically down, my forearms are slightly in front of my body, and my hands are slightly turned in. My fingers have a slight curl to them. They're not perfectly straight and they're not in a fist, kind of like so. Well, the more that I round my body and kind of roll my shoulders forward, this is kind of a slouched posture, you'll tend to see that my arms hang in front. So if we went back to that, how much can you see? That pretty much means that better athletes who've got better posture should have a weaker grip, even though because they're better athletes, they can probably rotate their body harder. There are a number of these things that just don't quite make sense. So here's what I like to do with determining grip strength. First of all, I have a whole video on how I measure grip strength and how you can decide what to do with that. But I want to pose this thought that there's an intimate relationship between where your chest is pointed at impact and what your hands should be like on the club. The more that your body is going to be turned, side bent, or facing the target, in general, that's going to get your hands further ahead of the golf ball, which is going to cause the club face to open up compared to the path, or rather delay its closing. So the more that your hands are further out in front of your body and the more your body's facing the general direction of the target, you probably need a stronger grip. Otherwise, you'd have to do that motorcycle move that I teach just a ton, which is an option, but it's something to consider. Whereas the more that my chest is facing the golf ball, the more that I'm going to have my hands kind of in front of my body and facing the golf ball. So the more that this right arm is going to be straight. Well, with that criteria, kind of the weaker grip I have is going to get that pointed in the general direction of the target. Unless I have a tremendous amount of lead shoulder kind of pull, it tends to work out better that way. So your grip is something that is probably going to evolve as you work on your golf game. And the more that you get into this kind of 30-degree open body position, the more that you'll gravitate towards a neutral grip or a slightly strong grip in order to have the club face in the proper position. So anytime you hear something that's been around for a long time in golf, there's the chance that it has some science behind it, because a lot of them have worked out, but always be critical that perhaps it was just, some fleeting thought that a golf instructor had and it got passed on as fact. And when we now put kind of measurement to it or technique to it, it just doesn't hold up. So for other smart approaches, check out the rest of our blogs as well as our videos inside the membership site here at Golf Smart Academy.